Hey, it's Don the Auction Professor. Today I thought I would slide straight to the screen and I want to touch base on shipping out of the country for those of you in the United States. We ship everywhere. We do, though, do it selectively. So some of it goes through eBay's global shipping program, and some of it we ship directly to the countries of origin ourselves. It just depends on the country and the item on how we ship it. This is just a postcard. I just picked a random item just to go over the actual aspect of it. And this is just one of our basic forms. This is probably what yours looks like too. When you get down to the international shipping section, though, what I always do is I always hit the Sell Internationally with the Global Shipping Program. The Global Shipping Program is a program where eBay charges a buyer to ship an item to them if the seller doesn't ship directly to that country. We ship to certain countries straight out. We've only had an issue with one package to France, but we ship to Germany, United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, and Australia. France, we lost one package in the mail over a 5-year time frame, and it was lost. We could show, the tracking shows up, but the countries that I'm listing here, Canada, United Kingdom, Germany, France, Japan, and Australia, all have good tracking. You should be able to see the item to the door in those countries. That has been our experience over 5 years of doing this. So we ship directly to those countries and those countries only. Any other country will have to purchase through the Global Shipping Program, which is eBay's program for people to buy items from, like, only U.S. sellers. Let's say you only ship to the U.S. and you want to sell to items to other countries, but you don't want to do it yourself. So you can opt into the Global Shipping Program. And by this, the buyer will buy an item from you. They'll pay eBay, and it is an exorbitant rate. It is very high to have items shipped through Global Shipping Program. But for many people, they don't really care. It's something they just can't get overseas, so they'll pay the difference. We sell Global Shipping Program items almost, every other day or so at least. And they sell very well, items overseas for us as a general whole. But with the program, eBay will, throw out a fee. You'll package the item up just like normal. You'll print a label through eBay, and it'll ship to a facility. For us, it goes to Kentucky. I don't know where it would go to for every section of the country, but eBay has a big facility in Kentucky, and you'll send the item to there. It'll literally be in the label. You won't have to do anything. Just print the label from eBay, and you slap the label on there. They'll get it in Kentucky. They'll sort it. They'll transport it bulk-wise to the country of origin after they sort it in Kentucky. And once it gets to the destination, it'll be sorted again and then handed to their normal mail system from there. I believe they must relabel these things. They'll put the customs forms on them for them and the whole works. And I won't have to deal with that. We sell a lot of T-cards and things like that to China, Japan, and Korea. I only ship those straight to Japan. For collectors and things that are in China and other areas, the only way they can get them is through the Global Shipping Program. So for them, they'll do it. We sell a lot of items to China. I just don't trust the system. We've lost too many items. Even items we've purchased for our kids have not shown up or been lost, or the issues from China can be many. Sometimes it doesn't even make it out of the country before it gets lost. So we don't ship to these countries. I don't ship to most of Europe, and even parts of North and South America that we won't ship to just because of that issue. But again, you got to be selective on what you do. As long as you're selective, you're safe. Like if you use the Global Shipping Program and you mail the item to the eBay facility of whichever is for your region, if it's Kentucky like ours is, and it hits to Kentucky and they scan it into Kentucky, I'm free and clear of any transportation issues or lost mail or anything like that from the time it hits eBay in Kentucky to the time it hits the customer in Europe or wherever the item's going. eBay is responsible for it from that point on. I don't have a dime to lose. They can't leave bad feedback for, the charge of postage. You can have that removed. They can't leave bad feedback for time of shipping as long as you ship to their facility within the required time. And we ship within a day. So I ship the items to eBay in Kentucky within the same day of their payment. So if they pay today within 24 hours or less, I have the item in the mail to eBay's facility in Kentucky. And then from there on in, once it's scanned into Kentucky, I'm free and clear. That's literally how it works. In the other areas, you're liable, but we only ship to those other countries as well with U.S. first-class international mail only for those items. If they're heavier items, then they're going U.S. global priority or international priority, whatever it's called these days. And that's how we ship items overseas. So if we ship them ourselves, first class international priority only. I know it's going to be like to Canada, it's $10 to ship a $2 postcard, and it's not my problem. I'm covering myself and covering my aspect and covering my business. If somebody buys from it and then they complain after the fact and I haven't raised the rate, you can have a feedback removed if it's say a Canadian buyer complaining about the cost of shipping. I charge what it costs. You know, there might be a few cents over that covers my fees, but there's no attempt whatsoever to make a profit on shipping. Like to England, I think it's $13.50. To Japan, I think, or to Germany, I think it's $13.50. To most of Europe, I believe it's like $13.50 to ship or $14. I don't remember the exact price. I just punch in the weight and click, purchase postage. But that's about the price it is. So anywhere to United Kingdom, Germany, or France, that's what they're paying. Japan has a different rate system, as does Australia. But all those places, if you do first-class international shipping, you can get tracked on those items, those packages. I know sometimes they'll give you a warning that tracking's not, up on it on many of these items anymore. But for the most part, we find that they still are tracked, especially the letter first-class international. And on those items, too, when you're shipping them out, declare every dime that the item was. You'll see people from England and Germany and France and even Canada asking you to declare less than $20. Let's say they buy a $100 item from you and they ask you, can you declare $20 on that as the value of the item? They're trying to avoid an import taxation into their country. For England, for example, if they buy something out of the country that's more than $20, they're paying a tax when it comes into their country. It could be 20, 30%. I'm not really sure how much it is. I just know that they're charged it. Not our responsibility. We do put a disclaimer in every single notice that goes out that no import or export fees are included. So that is the responsibility of the buyer and the buyer only. That's in every listing that we have. That way we're covered from anybody trying to say that they had to pay more because we declared it wrong or something like that. If you're altering that form too and you're doing it through eBay, you're violating the law. There's a law in our country as well as the other countries that we ship directly to, Canada, again, United Kingdom, Germany, France, Japan, and Australia, that says that you have to declare anything imported that you purchased of any value. Don't get caught in the trap of sending these through regular mail and putting a regular stamp on items that are small. I know you'll have people tell you they have it done all the time. They're always going to tell you that because they don't want to pay the import fee. I mean, I guess I can't blame them, but I do follow the law because this is my business and my livelihood, and I would recommend you doing the same thing. Don't get caught up into a thing where you start sending items out in regular envelopes. They say, can't you send them in a correspondence? Correspondence are only for messages, for letters. Sending like a family photo or something like that's okay. It's not a piece of merchandise. But if it's something they purchased, they can't send it in a correspondence. That's illegally violating a federal import-export law here in the United States, and you could easily be violating that same type of law in the other countries you send to. Again, with the global shipping program, you don't have to worry about that. You're not going to sell as much if you do it through the global shipping program because the price is high, but good items, rare items, they will sell, though, through the global shipping program. Other items, if you send them through, direct first class international, you got to be cautious, too, on value on some of those. If they are high value items, I've sent, records and things like that overseas. You can send them with registered first class international mail. It costs more. They are carefully taped up and sealed with, a tape that they can tell if it was open or not, and then they'll stamp seal everywhere the tape covers an opening of the envelope so they can tell if it was open, and then it's held in a separate area, in a locked area when it's sent that way. So if you're sending like a $2,000 or $3,000 record overseas, you'd want to do it registered first class international. That you would have to go down to the post office in person and have done. I very rarely mess with that, even on some of the higher dollar items, if they're going to like UK. Anywhere else, I would not do that too, but to United Kingdom, I've sent $2,000 records in first-class international mail on many occasions without issue. It is a big worry, but I've never had an issue. I did declare the full value, of course. I know it could be hundreds of dollars these people had to pay to import it, and usually I'll lower my price a little bit, or we'll go back and forth, and I'll take that consideration into my offer. but I will not change the form. If you change an eBay, you're altering something that is a government form with proof that you altered it by changing the price. Don't ever, ever do that. I know people will say I'm crazy. I'll probably get a couple negatives, thumbs down on this video because I say that, but follow the law. I don't care if these people are telling you, no, who's going to check your mail? What are you worried about? You're not going to get in trouble. Everybody does it. I don't care if everybody does it. If everybody runs a red light, I'm still not going to do it. I'm not in a hurry. I'm not interested in messing with it. If we lose a few bucks in sales, I'm not going to worry. I'm not sweating it at all. The countries that I mentioned, Canada, United Kingdom, Germany, France, Japan, and Australia, are the top countries that I ever sell to. Even if when we sold directly to all the countries in the past without the global shipping, those countries are the same countries we sell most of our items to, regardless of how we have the shipping. So I'm not worried about losing a few sales in other areas. We ship to the key countries straight out, small items, so at least they can get it for about 10 to 15 bucks shipping. And most don't have a problem with that. Most will make a little lower offer on the item. And if it's something that's set in there, who cares if I take a little less? I'm selling it. I keep my global shipping percentage up so that my top-rated status still stays in these other countries. And they just changed a little while ago, so the changes can affect you a little bit. So you got to keep an eye on that too. You have to sell, I think, 100 or more items every 3 months in that section or in that category for the global over shipping areas to even be eligible for the top rated in those areas. Like in Germany, you have to sell at least 100 items and so many dollars. I think it's at least $1,000. We might sell that in one order, so I'm not too worried about that. And if I lose some of the global status overseas for top rated plus, I wouldn't worry about it as much. There's things we can do to beef those up if they do get a little lower. I can throw some more of the British items that we have here up online. Some of the Raphael Tuck cards, those are items that usually are bought by people from Canada or United Kingdom because it's a British company. They were printers to the King and Queen of England for a long time, so they did a lot of the coronation items. So people in England collect these all the time. That's where most of them go to, either Canada or the United Kingdom, at least that specific type of item. But if you don't ship overseas, you're honestly losing out. These are options. These are how I've done it for now for 5 years. We have not had any real issues with this. I get a complaint once in a while about the global shipping program. I've had 1 or 2 negative feedbacks left due to length of shipping or charges for shipping, but those are immediately removed upon a minute or so talking to an eBay representative. So I never worry about those anymore. eBay has gotten better on a lot of that. I know I still see people dogging. I hear people say, eBay isn't honest with the sellers and they're always trying to screw the sellers. I don't believe that's the case per se. I think they're just more along the lines of like how Amazon is. Amazon's kind of out of control. I don't know how many of you have had to call Amazon on a seller account issue. I had a wacky one the other day on a seller account thing that kept popping up on my screen, an error. And it took a long time on the phone to get anybody to address it and get it fixed because I wasn't able to get to my inventory to list new items at the time because of the glitch. But they fixed it. It took an hour. And again, that could be as long as it takes with eBay calls. But again, that's literally how we do it. Global shipping is a necessity if you want to increase your sales. It's just a given. If you're not doing it, and you got to do it right, though, of course. Don't send anything without the tracking and use first-class international mail. That'll also entitle you to be qualified for top-rated seller. And again, I know it's only a 1% discount at the end. But if you're doing a ton of money in sales, like this month we're going to do 27,000-ish, somewhere in that range, 1% is a big deal. So, and it helps too. It helps your sales because you've got a good percentage of feedback. So people look at that. Again, if you're not selling items, that other people are selling, it may just be your feedback. Again, I've talked about this many times. If you don't have the best feedback you can possibly get, you're losing out. If I'm going to look at an item that there's 100 different sellers selling the same item, I'm going to buy it from the seller that has the highest feedback. That's a given. And again, like on Amazon, who are you going to buy the item from on Amazon? You're going to look and see if they're FBA first, because FBAs usually have a better reputation. They come straight from Amazon, so the chances of you having, issues with that are slimmer. So you're rating, the best service first, and then below that are the ones that, are top status sellers on Amazon. So, have good feedback. We have good feedback on Amazon, so I don't really worry as much. We don't always get the buy box, but, that's just the way it goes. So, wherever you're selling at, you've got to be wary of that. Feedback is important. I don't care where you're selling on. If you're not paying attention and keeping your feedback up, you're going to get yourself in trouble. So that's another reason we always use first-class international mail. It includes tracking, for the most part, for everywhere that we ship to. And that tracking is key to prove that the item was sent and delivered. That way you're covered. Or if you use the global shipping program, the minute it hits the facility here in the United States, before it gets sent overseas, you are free and clear. So those are your options literally for international shipping. I mean, you can ship it, many forms. So let's say up here, you can create various ways to do it. If you want to do the global shipping, it's just a matter of clicking this button here. And then like for other shipping options, like for this, I have a calculated shipping. Or you can change it to none if you don't want to ship out of the country. Here's a none, and this is what happens. It gets rid of all the options. So all you have is sell internationally. You can do none, meaning you don't ship anywhere overseas, and just do global shipping, where eBay ships it for you. So every item that goes out of the country, you would ship to eBay here in this country, and they would handle it. But for us, as I said, I would never use flat rate, because then if the shipping's different to a different country, you're in trouble. If you do use flat rate, you could only want to do it for 1 or 2 countries that you know what the rate's going to be and that the rate would be the same. Otherwise, you're going to end up losing. Overseas shipping varies constantly from wherever you're at. So we use calculated cost for all this. And then we would literally choose custom locations. You can just pick Canada if that was what you were thinking, or worldwide, and then you could select. But we always do choose custom locations. And then I'll literally pick U.S. First Class International, or whichever service you want to pick. There's tons of them available here. Let's slide down so we can see this a little better. UPS is an option here for us too. I have a FedEx account. I didn't have it all linked yet. I wasn't worried about it. But I use this option here, and then I just click the ones that I want. Canada, UK, Germany, France, Japan, and Australia. This is if you offer additional ones here too. I always just click the same ones. I don't think it really matters. You can probably get this, click this off and not even show it, but I just add those in. And then if you want to add a little extra, handling cost because it's overseas, you're more than welcome to. Like, say you want to add 10 cents in there just for the hassle. I mean, it's up to you. I don't apply calculated shipping rules either. I'll do it individually. And I don't put other sites on it either for international visibility, because when you do this, you can have charges on it too. So, because you're basically like double listing the item. But that's literally all there is to it. For the international shipping too, make sure you put the actual dimensions on there and the full-fledged weight. But that's literally what we do and how we do it. And this is how we do it for every listing that we do international. And I do international on 90% of my items. Big, thick items or big, heavy items, I try not to do. International first class or U.S. first class international mail only goes up to 4 pounds. So if it's more than 4 pounds, it has to go priority. So for the most part, we try to keep the items that do go overseas to 4 pounds or less, so that we fall into the U.S. first class international. And that's just what we do. It's mostly smaller items we send out overseas anyway. Sometimes we get clothing that's bought and sent overseas. Usually it's through the global shipping program for the most part. We've sold a couple here and there straight to a country, and they've paid for the U.S. priority global. But again, stick to the main shipping methods like first class international. Don't get yourself caught into the trap where you're sending them in an envelope like a postcard and just throwing it in a regular envelope with a regular stamp. You could run into some trouble at some point. It could be flagged on the other end. The person buying it could have had issues in the past, so they flag as mail. And if they catch you with something in that, that wasn't registered or reported, you could get yourself in trouble here in this country. They could send a notice or whatever the case may be. I've dealt with other countries' post offices. I've had issues with, way in the past with the United Kingdom and Germany. I had an issue with an item that Germany held up in customs, and then it looked like it was going to be sent back, and I had to file a report with the German post office. Most of that won't do you any good. You have to be a German resident for the German post office to help you. I found that out the hard way, but you live and you learn. So for the most part, as long as you're sending it U.S. First Class International, you're safe. And you can watch the tracking. I watched as it hit, in Germany and hit the customs. and then it took like 14 days. What happened in Germany, and happens a lot with packages, they'll sit in customs, they'll send a letter out to the person who purchased the item, that the item is in customs, and then they might get an update. I've even got letters stating it went through customs and blah, 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 this happened, that happened, and it was delivered on such and such a date. I'll get email, or, full-fledged letters sometimes from the post office from other countries. It just happens that way, especially when the customs might be an issue or something like that. Declare what it is, declare the items, use the eBay form, and you're safe. Regardless, if the eBay form's wrong and you didn't alter it at all, it doesn't matter. You did what you were supposed to do. You followed the rules. eBay messed up. That has happened. I've seen the issues where eBay didn't have the right amounts, or their wording was mixed up, or there was some stuff left off from their forms, but that happens. But that's global shipping. Hopefully that helps you a little bit here. If you're not doing it, this is the options I have. Look at the screen. That's literally how I set up every single global shipping auction that I do. And again, that's like 90% of everything I sell is set up exactly like this. You'll just worry about, the actual weight and the dimensions of the package for the individual items that you're selling. If you don't have a ton of item, it's not a big ordeal. You can even go in and do this as a bulk edit and actually edit a whole bunch of listings all at the same time. But you can even go into edit. You can edit up to 500 listings at the same time. So if you don't have this in your listing, you can just go to active listings. So if you've got a couple thousand listings and you want to add global shipping, just literally get your listings and check the first 500, edit, and then in the edit, you can actually click them again to select all the listings, and then you'll just simply change the shipping options in there. It's fairly easy to do, and you can set them all up at once that way. So if you're not doing that, go ahead and add it to your listings if you feel comfortable with it. There's really no big drawbacks for it. For us, we haven't had the issues. You may run into one item with one package a year or something using it this way, but we haven't even had that this year. Within the last year and a half, I can't think of any issues with global overseas shipping. So it's just a plus. It's just some months, again, as I said, up to 30% increase in sales just by using the global shipping options. You may not have the same results, but I guarantee you're going to get more sales out of it. I guarantee it. At least on a monthly basis, it should increase your sales at least something. It's a no-brainer. I know people are scared off. They only want to ship, locally and things like that, but it's not that kind of world anymore. People collect from all over the country and all over the world, and you have Americans in other countries. I've sold to Americans in Japan and Australia, Germany, France, United Kingdom, even Canada, who live there now, and they buy stuff, from the United States. So they will buy stuff still. There's, people that travel and people that live over, in Europe half the year, and they buy stuff from us. So, that's just what you have to think about. Take this out of the box and think about what other options you have to increase your sales. And the biggest one is increasing your market. So if you only have a U.S. market right now, you're losing out. You can open your stuff up to huge countries. 10 times as many people could be looking at your item if you open it up to the world. That doesn't mean you're going to have 10 times as many sales, but it gives you the option to increase your sales all the better either way. So again, Don the Auction Professor, hope you learned something. Hopefully you can take away from that and adjust some of your listings if that's how you feel. And if you want to take a chance and get some increases in sales, go ahead and try it. At least try the global shipping program. You have nothing to lose with using it. I know it's expensive. You might get a few weird emails or some nasty ones, but it does work, and you do sell items. Again, I sell items weekly from the global shipping program, and then sometimes even daily from the direct ship from our customized location list. So ship U.S. First Class International if you're going to ship directly to the country, and then otherwise use the eBay Global Shipping Program. But Don the Auction Professor, please hit like if you enjoyed it, comment, and tell a friend.